Today we'll be talking about 3 practical ways to love yourself. So these 3 unique ways I'm going to be sharing with you will carry over into every other aspect of your life. So these are probably 3 that you may have not heard said to you like this. So let's begin. So the first way that you can practically love yourself is to learn to prioritize your needs. So learn to put yourself first. Now, this is something that you've probably heard before, like put yourself first. I should probably, prioritize my needs. Yep, I should do that. But we need to first of all really sit down and think about this. Why would a person not prioritize their own needs? So why would a person involve themselves in self-sacrificing behavior? So the real reason that a person like self-sacrifices is because fundamentally they do not believe that they are worthy of love as they are. So they don't believe that they are enough as they are. They don't believe that their real authentic selves is worthy of love, which is why they self-sacrifice, which is why you people please, which is why you bend over backwards to try keep other people happy. It's because fundamentally you don't believe that you're enough. So you're pretending or you're portraying to be something that you think everybody else wants you to be. And in essence, it leaves you empty and it leads to self-loathing. So that's a big jump. How did we get here? One thing that's interesting about kids and the way kids are developed is that fundamentally kids are the most like egocentric little beings. Right. The reason why most people struggle with this is really down to their childhood. So normally, like for example, if your parents don't meet your needs in a timely manner, or if your parents withdraw from you when you're misbehaving, or they withdraw from you when you express your needs, what a child learns to believe is they learn to believe that me having needs is not important. I am only lovable when I am doing what mom and dad want me to do. I am only lovable when I'm compliant. I am only lovable when I hide my needs and my desires. So fundamentally, the child grows up to believe that everybody else's needs are more important than its own, that it's not okay to be itself. So many people go through that. And it's not because your parents are bad people or anything like that. It's just that they weren't able to meet your needs in a timely manner in that way. Most people wouldn't know how to do this unless they've had a healthy dynamic. So many of us grow up with this frame, this paradigm of thinking, and it carries over into adulthood. So it messes up your relationships, it messes up your friendships, and you get to a point where you feel that you need to always be there for your friends. You feel that you need to please your friends. And if you are to let down your friends, like that, I make a request from you and you say no, you feel immense guilt. It's not appropriate guilt. It's just the fact that you've not trained yourself to believe that your needs are important. And I remember I became aware of this because there's a period of my life where I was just struggling, guys. Like I was struggling with relationships. They'd all be ending the same. I'd always feel burnt out. I always feel used. And I'd be thinking like, why is this happening? And I remember this one specific day, and I'm kind of embarrassed to share it, but I will. So I had a friend who had a specific event. So I live in Manchester. My friend lived in Manchester at the time as well, but they were moving back and forth between London and Birmingham and that kind of thing. So they're moving in loads of different places. So my friend had a specific event, and he was going to hold the event in different cities. So he was going to hold it in Manchester. So I couldn't come to the Manchester one for whatever reason. And I felt so bad, and I felt like, man, I've really let him down. So he had another event in London, and I was like, I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll go, show up. At the time, my financial situation wasn't great, so I was broke. I was going through it. There was just a whole bunch of stuff going on at the time, so I was so broke. So I used like the remainder of my money to hop on a coach to London. So those of you guys who have hopped on a coach from Manchester to London know that these coaches are long. They're so uncomfortable. There's only like one toilet on the coach, and normally when somebody goes and uses the toilet, they stink out the place. It's just an unpleasant experience, man. So I remember I hop on this coach and I go all the way there to London for 4 hours, and then I go to this 1 hour event and I stay there and I'm like, oh, good job, bro. And then I go and I get the coach back. That's ridiculous, right? That was full on me self-sacrificing, because one, I didn't even have the funds to go there, so I was sacrificing myself, and two, it was just extreme, just because I felt guilty for letting them down, right? There's a deep desire within me to please, which is why I did that, because fundamentally, up until that point, I trained myself to believe that my needs were not important, that I didn't matter, and that it wasn't okay for me to be who I was, because if I was myself, then people would abandon me and they wouldn't love me. So that's fundamentally the processing of my brain at that time. So what I had to do is I had to learn that I got to put myself first. And this is the thing. When you begin putting yourself first, of course, some people may be upset with you. So if you've been involved like with loads of self-sacrificing behavior, then of course you have people who will be users around you who will be upset, because they'll be like, nah, yeah, I haven't got complete access to you all the time. But the people who truly love you, the people who are really there for you, will honor your boundaries. and they'll remain with you. You will attract the right kind of people. Because for you to have friends or to be in relationships, you shouldn't be in a point where you're self-sacrificing, setting yourself on fire to keep other people warm. It shouldn't be that way. So your friends should be able to honor that need. But it starts off with you, first of all, acknowledging that. So whenever you feel like you're burnt out and you feel like, man, I don't have it to give right now, then it's better to let down your friends and prioritize yourself. Because that's going to teach you that you matter, and this is going to carry over in everything. All your romantic relationships will improve. Your friendships will improve. Your self-perception will improve. But it starts off with you prioritizing yourself. So you matter. You are important. So that's the first thing. Prioritizing your needs. Put yourself first. Second thing is the way that you speak about yourself. So you must never speak negatively or poorly about yourself in the presence of others. So more, what I'm really aiming to get at here is more so about self-deprecating humor. Self-deprecating humor must never come out of your mouth. Because like you may think like, I want to connect. I'm making people laugh and they like it. So what's the problem, Josh? The problem is though you're making jokes like about yourself, right? Nobody really respects you when you're doing it. In turn, you're really training people to disrespect you because you teach people how to treat you based on the way that you treat yourself. So of course you can make a joke where it's completely absurd and it's funny. Like, for example, let's say you're super jacked and you're big and then you make a joke about being weak and being skinny. It's funny because it's not true. So it's not a truth. So everyone's laughing. They're like, ha ha ha. It's funny. It'll probably raise people's perception of you. They'll probably feel fond of you because you can take a joke. But if you're making jokes that are really close to home, like let's say you're out of shape and you're unattractive and then you're making jokes about that and you're making jokes about how you can't get girls and this is your actual reality and you're like, ha 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 ha, I'm such a loser, then though those people are laughing, they're not respecting you. If anything, it's lowering their perception of you. And it's harming your own self-esteem because you're listening to yourself, tearing yourself down. It's not good for your self-esteem. It's not good for self-love. So you need to stop speaking poorly about yourself because you will invite disrespect in doing so. So that's the second thing. The third thing when it comes to building self-love is taking full responsibility and full accountability for your life. So no longer making excuses, because there's this nice part of self-love that people like to preach, which is like, you should buy yourself some candy or do something nice for yourself. And that's all well and good. There's a place for that. Speak affirmations in the mirror. There's time and a place for that. That's all true. But another aspect of self-love is honoring and respecting yourself enough to tell yourself the truth so that you can make improvements. And you can't make improvements until you tell yourself the truth or face the truth of the reality of where you're at. Nothing can improve until you tell yourself the truth. And part of self-responsibility is understanding this, that life is unfair. Life is unfair. People have advantages and you may have your disadvantages. Life isn't fair. But all you can do is do the best with the hand that you've been dealt. Because you may be in a bad position or poor position and it's not your fault. It may be down to your upbringing, maybe down to your situations, things that you can't control. Life's not fair. It is what it is. But what you are totally responsible for is how your life pans out from here. So it's on you to make your life what you want it to be. It's on you to take full responsibility. And when you come to a point where you understand that it's on me to change my life, because if I don't do anything, nothing's going to change for me. I will stay in this situation. Things won't improve. It in essence liberates you. You no longer feel like a victim. And when you start taking action and things start improving, you're like, you know what? I am the man. Things are possible. But you must first of all take that acceptance that it's on me to change things. Now, there's a reason why many people tend not to do this. And it's simply because it's easier to not take responsibility. It's easier to blame and say, it's this person's fault that I am this way. It's this circumstance's fault that why I am this way. This is the reason why I'm struggling. Because when you have all these reasons and all these alibis, you've got excuses to not succeed. You've got an excuse or a reason to stay the way you are. So it's easier to stay the way you are. It's easier not to change because it's difficult to change. It takes work to change. Now, there's a burden of responsibility to do that, and you don't want that responsibility. But in turn, choosing not to take on that responsibility means you choose to remain miserable and you choose to remain a victim of your circumstance. So it starts off with you telling yourself the truth and taking full responsibility. If things are going to change, the change has to be initiated by you. So that doesn't mean life do everything by yourself, but that means you can go ask for help. That means, you can get mentorship. You can reach out and initiate the change for yourself. And when you start doing this, your self-perception begins to improve and you begin to like yourself a whole lot more because you start becoming the type of person that you wish to become. You're no longer a victim of circumstance. You can't feel good when you're a victim. So those are the three practical ways to build self-love. So like I said, number one, you need to learn to put yourself first. You matter. Your needs are important. Number two, no more self-deprecating humor. So no more talking poorly about yourself in the presence of other people. And three, learning to take self-responsibility. Understanding that if things are going to change in your life, the change must come from the initiation of you.